Alibi Alley here at beautiful Belmont Park, that long tunnel that connects the paddock to the racetrack. That's where the trainers go to watch race replays as soon as their horse finishes running. A lot of excuses, I guess, and you hope to find something if your horse didn't run well, but we're certainly going to fire a big race tonight. We're a big effort on Belmont Insider. It's Jason Blewett, Richard McGleary alongside, and this was a good sort of start into the fall. It felt like fall, and we had some big Grade 1 races with a lot of history.
And it truly felt like the Belmont Fall Championship meeting, and I was smiling looking at that shot because there was many a day I spent under that TV pleading my case to a trainer. Alibi Alley, indeed.
Still going on. Now, we get you out hot off the press to the action out at Santa Anita. They barely crossed the wire in the Grade 1 Zenyatta, paid public workout for Beholder. Now, let's take a look, see what she did.
And Beholder goes on for home. My Sweet Addiction tries to hang tough. My Monet is back in third. At the top of the lane, and it's all Beholder. Gary Stevens has not asked her. Now takes a look over his shoulder at My Sweet Addiction. Now a look over his right shoulder. But Beholder, once again, is just making this look so easy. It is Beholder in an absolute canter. Being geared down late by Gary Stevens. Beholder in a formality. My Sweet Addiction second. Then came
What's to say that hasn't been said already about the great Beholder who continues to impress late in her 5-year-old season?
There was no drama in this Zenyatta. She was a winner every single step of the way. Wide the first turn, galloped up alongside of the leader who was trying to get out. Gary just kind of put her back in her place. And this is exactly what they wanted heading to the Breeders' Cup. You want to win, but you don't want to squeeze that lemon dry. That was a paid public workout. You said it best. And, boy, to me, she's going to give the boys all they can handle.
All right, we look forward to seeing her in the Breeders' Cup Classic. For Richard Mandela, how about Nyquist shipping to Keeneland as the likely favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile? He got a test today, and here's what happened in the Grade 1 frontrunner.
Hollywood Don set sail after the leaders. They come for home. Mount Vida. Nyquist is fully stretched, swiped down at the rail. Hollywood Don chasing after them in fourth, and then Rare Candy. Homeward bound Nyquist. Swipe at the rail. Swipe is coming fast. Nyquist calls on all his class. They head and head for the wire. Nyquist was all heart, and Nyquist won it. Swipe was second. Hollywood Don settled for third. Rare Candy finished fourth.
Had to survive a steward's inquiry. The call, though, not guilty, as we pick up the head-on shot off the far turn. Nyquist, of course, in the purple cap between.
Nyquist showed a lot of determination here. I think he might have also been exposed at a horse that doesn't want to go quite this far. As impressive as he's been up to 7 furlongs, I thought he really looked hungry through the stretch, wandering about, put the eventual runner-up in close without bothering him. I am not impressed. I thought the race was slow, and I think Nyquist could have his hands full with some of the East Coast horses that are going to appreciate going further.
We learned a bit more about the East Coast scene with the Champagne and even tomorrow's Bertram F. Bongard. That came up an absolute war between Champion of the Nile, Sudden Surprise, and, of course, Get Jets. Plenty to be had this weekend at Belmont Park, but it really began with today's Grade 1 Joe Hurst Turf Classic. That's where we're going next, as darkness falls upon the Powis. Larry Colmus, when it was a bit brighter, had the call of this mile-and-a-half race on the Widener.
Hurst Turf Classic, and there goes Shining Copper up to grab the early lead. Shining Copper, as expected, in that pace-making role, has opened up to lead by 2.5 lengths in the early stages here. With Red Rifle away running in second, Twilight Eclipse third, and then comes Quiet Force to the outside, followed by Slumber, who's now 8 lengths off of Shining Copper. Big Blue Kitten is 12 lengths off of Shining Copper, and Perfect Title trails the field, and the pace is hot. 23-3, the opening quarter mile for this mile-and-a-half distance, and Shining Copper doing what he does out there on an 8-length front-running mission on the clubhouse turn. Now it's almost a 10-length lead for Shining Copper. Red Rifle will let him go and sit second. Twilight Eclipse is third. And then comes Quiet Force, followed by Slumber. Break of another 3.5 lengths back to Big Blue Kitten, who's about 17 lengths off of his stablemate, and leading only Perfect Title to the backstretch. 47 flat was the half mile. So they go on to this long backstretch here at Belmont Park with Shining Copper, the pacemaker, and in front by 7 lengths. Heading up the backstretch, Red Rifle is second by 4. Then it's Twilight Eclipse and Slumber on the outside. Another 3.5 back to Big Blue Kitten. and they're followed by Quiet Force and Perfect Title. So it has been Shining Copper all the way, 3/4 up in 1:11-2. And Shining Copper heads into the turn, and his lead is even bigger now. It's up to a 9-length advantage as they head round the turn. And Red Rifle is running in second. A Strong Slumber is third as they make their way around the turn. Twilight Eclipse being motivated for more as they catch up to Shining Copper now. Big Blue Kitten's within 6 lengths of the lead. It's still Shining Copper, but the lead is down to 1.5 lengths. Twilight Eclipse needs some running room. He's trapped in behind Shining Copper. No place to go for Twilight Eclipse. In the meanwhile, Big Blue Kitten rushes up on the outside. Joe Bravo says go to Big Blue Kitten, and they've opened up to lead by 2.5 lengths. With Slumber up running in second. Now there's late running room for Twilight Eclipse's third. Big Blue Kitten's got a 2.5 length lead. Slumber, Twilight Eclipse on the Insider coming. Big Blue Kitten, Slumber, Twilight Eclipse. Big Blue Kitten won the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic. It was a photo between Slumber and Twilight Eclipse behind him, and then it was Red Rifle.
And it's just that quick slingshot move from Joe Bravo. 4-wide brush, kind of took everybody by surprise, blew the race open off the far turn, and that was all Big Blue Kitten needed to do to hold on for another Grade 1.
A great tactical strike by Joe. He had the horse to pull that maneuver. His horse got to wandering a little bit late. I'm not so sure, though, Jason, that Twilight Eclipse wasn't the best horse in this particular running of the Turf Classic. He was stuck, stymied in behind Shining Copper, had a steady, lost all momentum, backed up, and came running again in track record time. Now, great performance by the first 3 finishers. Slumber, the winner, obviously, Big Blue Kitten. But to me, this maybe should have been Twilight Eclipse's day.
14 for 29 is Big Blue Kitten, the 7-year-old homebred by Kitten's Joy, the red and white of the Ramseys. And here's Joe Bravo, who looks so good in those silks.
Joe, Big Blue Kitten and you seem to have a really good relationship. You seem to ride him with so much confidence. What were you thinking when you were sitting back there?
What would Richard Migliore do at this moment?
Oh, yeah, right.
No, to be honest, guys, he's such a good horse that he just does everything and pulls you to it all. I mean, you're watching the pace, and it's kind of nice to be able to sit back and kind of see how everything's kind of unfolding. And when it comes down to it, he's an amazing horse, and he deserves to hold the track record. He's done stuff that every time I rode him, he's first or second. I mean, he's pretty good. Horses make you look good.
You were pretty decisive when you made that move. Were you a little worried at the 8th pole that maybe you hit it a little to the front too soon?
Yeah, but once you get the ball rolling, you don't want to like hesitate and stop, go. It was his determination to go coming into the turn. And I seen everybody had their hands full pretty good. I said, let them catch us now. He's a good horse.
Joe, for years you rode so many winners, and this year maybe less quantity, more quality. Would you say this is the best year you've had big race-wise?
I agree, Richie. Thanks. I mean, it really is my best year. I mean, I've knocked out some stakes throughout the country, and all the years of hard work, you kind of want to be in a position. Don't work hard and ride quality, and wow, I don't know how I got here, but thanks, guys, for putting me there.
Well, you got here because you're riding great. Congratulations.
Thanks. Great seeing you.
Nobody gives a soundbite quite like Joe Bravo, and it's been a case, especially this year, and doing shows like the National Racing Report of Have Saddle Will Travel.
I think he's really hit on a great niche now. You know, you don't want to ride as many horses as he used to ride to be leading rider in New Jersey, and he's just so good right now. He sees a race so well. His maturity level's there, and it's fun to watch him be rewarded, like he said, for all the years that you put in getting to that point. He's really had a tremendous year.
Another Grade 1 turf sweep for Chad Brown, first and second, as Slumber was up in time over Twilight Eclipse, who had to wait and get out. Maybe that cost him the race. He'll live the fight another day along with the crew in the Turf Classic.
He's such a hickory horse, and he shows up every time. You just feel for him because it seems like he got unlucky today.
He could easily have 3, 4, 5 Grade 1 wins in the bank, in addition to that Man of War, as we get it on to another Grade 1 here on the show. The Vosburg, some of the country's best sprinters, including arguably the best sprinter, threw it down for a big purse. Here's Larry.
In the Vosburg. And it's Wildcat Red who fires out for the lead with Weekend Hideaway and Palace in hot pursuit, second and third. Rockfall is fourth on the outside early on. Then it's Stalwalk and Dude, and they've separated themselves 6 lengths from Brothers of the Time and Salutos Amigos, who was a step slow to start here. Around the far turn, Wildcat Red the leader through an opening quarter mile in 22 1/5 seconds. And Weekend Hideaway goes with him, and Rockfall is third, and he's heading toward the front runners now. And Stalwalk and Dude is strong, and he's going up there 4 wide. And then it's Palace on the inside, saving all the ground and waiting in fifth. Salutos Amigos and Brothers of the Time. And they're coming toward the top of the stretch in the Vosburg. Weekend Hideaway, Rockfall, Stallwalkin' Dude, and Wildcat Red. A 45 1/2 mile. Now, Stallwalkin' Dude and Rockfall are going at it. Salutos Amigos is moved up on the far outside. It is Rockfall, Stallwalkin' Dude, Salutos Amigos on the outside. Palace down toward the rail. Rockfall, Stallwalkin' Dude, Salutos Amigos. Rockfall won it. Salutos Amigos, Stallwalkin' Dude, and Palace.
David Jacobson took a big 1-2 punch at Rockfall, and for a moment, in fact more than a moment, it looked like Rockfall might succumb, but he dug in valiantly. Very game horse.
You know, he's just shown this fighting dimension to him that you really got to admire. I mean, he was getting challenges from all sides, and a fresh challenge from Salutos Amigos, who needs no introduction. This was an extremely game performance.
For trainer Todd Pletcher, who today became the first trainer to go over $300 million in career earnings, here he is with the big.
Todd, Rockfall has always shown phenomenal ability, but the last two races, he's really had a fight for it. You got to be happy to see that desire in him.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, he's blessed with a lot of natural talent, but to go along with that, he's got a lot of fight, which is great.
You trained his sire, Speightstown. Obviously, they both had a great deal of ability. Do you see any other similarities?
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of similarities, especially the way they train, because you wouldn't necessarily know they're as good as they are watching them train. They can be a little bit idle in the morning, so, you know, you don't worry about it too much. You just have confidence that come game time, they're going to show up.
Would you prefer to have a horse that's a little easier on themselves in the morning and show up in the afternoons?
Oh, absolutely. You know, he takes care of himself well. And, you know, I was a little worried. I didn't quite I didn't overdo it for this one. I kind of was wanting to get this one and still have something, you know, for the Breeders' Cup. So I was hoping I didn't cut it too close, and, you know, he pulled it out.
Well, he got the win, but are you happy with this effort heading towards the Breeders' Cup now?
Yeah, you know, I mean, we didn't want to leave the Breeders' Cup on the table here. It's a fine line between, you know, running well in the prep and still hopefully having something. You know, he's been winning races since March and, you know, 7 in a row, so we just kind of want to keep ticking over.
4-year-old by Speightstown patiently handled, and you see Todd Pletcher, and he talked about it. He's got his eye on the prize, which is the Breeders' Cup Sprint and an Eclipse Award, and he kind of went into just how tough it is to not get a horse over the top in late September as opposed to Breeders' Cup Day.
Well, you know, he got exactly what he wanted. You want to win these races because they're important in their own right. It's a $400,000 purse. It's a Grade 1. It's the Vosburg, a lot of prestige. But you don't want to leave the tank empty for the Breeders' Cup. So he got the best of both worlds. And what I really like about Rockfall is a lot of horses can throw a punch. Not a lot of horses can take a punch. Well, he showed he can not only throw a punch, he can take a punch.
Maybe a little rematch, or I should say run against Private Zone in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Let's keep our fingers crossed for that one. Wedding toast in the meantime, getting Sheikh Mohammed his 4th Beldame. Stay tuned.
The new Parks Fall Festival will double purses for each of its 32 live racing days. What an opportunity for Pennsylvania breds. In an open maiden special, PA breds will run for over $100,000. So be there at Parks in the fall.
Hello, I'm Brian Sanfratello. Last year, we paid $33 million to PA breds in the form of breeder awards, owner bonuses, and restricted race purses. Our Equine Coalition Group is united in the pursuit of making sure that we receive every dollar we deserve. And that's why our Racehorse Development Fund has been constant in the past 4 years. Please go to our website at www.pabred.com or give me a call at 610-444-1050.
Turf, such a big part of the game at Belmont Park, and we saw a good-looking trainer change and layoff to Ralph Dix by Tapit. A win earlier today for Mandy Pope. And Mandy Pope may have some horses running next Saturday, Super Saturday, Gold Cup Day at beautiful Belmont Park, as Tonalist looks to join Curlin, Skipaway, and Flat Out as the last 3 repeat winners of the Gold Cup.
Yeah, some pretty good names there.
Yep.
And Tonalist trained brilliantly this morning under Johnny Velasquez. Everybody's talking about how good he looks coming into the race. I'd like to see him get back on track.
Yeah, this was almost sort of the appetizer to the big Gold Cup card. We've got the Champagne Frisette still coming up. We'll see if we get a good 2-year-old going forward to the Breeders' Cup. About a good older mare. Don't know if she can beat Beholder if Beholder decides to go to the Breeders' Cup this staff. But here's Wedding Toast in her first start since Belmont Day.
And it was a good start for Wedding Toast, who came out very well. Hot Stones is right alongside of her early. These two out for the lead together. And they're being followed on the outside by Call Pat, who's closer to the pace today. Carolina's down on the inside, and then comes Catch My Drift. And House Rules trails 6 lengths off of front-running favorite Wedding Toast, who heads them up the backstretch through an easy opening quarter mile here of 24 seconds flat. And is pressed along by Hot Stones on the outside, who's now 3/4 of a length off of Wedding Toast. And Carolina is right behind them. Carolina is less than 2 lengths off the lead as well. And then it's a gap of another 2.5 to Call Pat, Catch My Drift. In hand second last year, leading only House Rules up the backstretch as they continue through the first half mile in 47 and 2. So it is Wedding Toast and Jose Lezcano in front. And they're on top 1.5 lengths into the far turnover Hot Stones. And then it's Carolina to the inside third, trying to keep position there. And getting closer now is Catch My Drift. And Catch My Drift sent along by Arad Ortiz Jr. And she's edging up toward the front runners now with a 3-wide run on the far turn. House Rules is next, and Call Pat's under a drive. At the back of the field is Wedding Toast, has run 3/4 in 1:11 and 1. And turns for home in the Beldame. Wedding Toast off the turn in front. Carolina is second now, and to the outside it's Catch My Drift as they come to the final furlong. Wedding Toast is set down with a 3-length lead here. Carolina is clearly second, and then it's Catch My Drift, but there's no catching Wedding Toast. Wedding Toast much the best here, all the way in the Beldame. Over Carolina, Catch My Drift, and Call Pat.
She dictates the race on her terms. It makes Wedding Toast good, and she was pretty sharp off that layoff since Belmont Day.
She was very sharp off the layoff. Obviously, she loves Belmont, but if Beholder doesn't go in the distaff, and she does, in fact, go to the Classic, don't you think Wedding Toast, as of this moment anyway, is the favorite for it?
I do. It's not a vintage filly and mare crop regarding the older horses around it, even the 3-year-olds. She was good today, and here's Kieran McLaughlin.
Karen, Wedding Toast won, and it looked like she won with something left.
Yeah, very impressive. She loves Belmont one turn, and my brother Neil and Trish have trained her at Green Tree and done a great job. And, you know, it's her second grade one this year. She's a very nice filly, and Jose rode her great.
I know a lot of talk before the race. Well, she had the summer off. Was that by design, or was there an issue?
A little issue with foot is all, but we really wanted to wait till it came here one turn again. She loves it here.
And will you now go on to Keeneland for the Breeders' Cup?
Yes, we will.
And you think the 2 turns for her, I mean, the way she ran today, she's showing good speed and kind of controlling her own destiny. 2 turns maybe shouldn't be a problem.
No, it shouldn't be. It just, she loves it here, one turn, and this race was here. So, no, she should be fine, 2 turns.
Great job. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
First Beldame win for Kieran, the first for jockey Jose Lezcano as well, the 4th in the meantime for Sheikh Mohammed. Imperial Gesture, Cocoa Beach, and Music Note, the 3 other Godolphin color bearers that have won the Beldame. And she's solid, and I guess it put to rest any sort of concern with her missing the summer today, right?
Yeah, and again, I mean, he said it. You know, she had a slight foot issue. Horses do. They battle through these minor injuries, and the fact that she was able to come back and deliver such a strong performance, 1 mile and 1/8 and 47 and change, she's right back on the beam. I really think at Keeneland she's going to dictate the pace again. I don't think Untapable's come back in the form we saw as a 3-year-old, and who else is out there unless Beholder changes gears?
I like you talking about the pace. That sets us up for one fast New York bred filly. Her name La Verdad. That's the truth. Here's Larry Colmus with the Gallant Bloom.
They're off in the Gallant Bloom. Not a very good start for Dame Dorothy, who bobbled coming out of there. It's La Verdad who goes out to the front. Room for Me, Street Story, and Classic Point, all with speed, and Dame Dorothy sits right behind him on the rail. A length and a half off of La Verdad up the backstretch. And then Wavell Avenue, and the trailer is Willett. The field racing for the half-mile pole. La Verdad pushed along by Room for Me through a 22-3 first quarter. And these two now a half length apart. Break of another two back to Dame Dorothy, who's taken third inside of Street Story on the turn. Classic Point follows in fifth. Wavell Avenue is sixth on the inside. 5.5 lengths off of La Verdad, and the trailer is Willett. So Jose Ortiz and La Verdad are making their way toward the top of the stretch in front. They went 45 flat for a half mile. Room for Me, and Dame Dorothy is down on the inside, and they're into the stretch. La Verdad off the turn in front. Room for Me is 2 lengths behind. Dame Dorothy has now moved up and takes second. La Verdad set down for a final furlong here, trying to hold off Dame Dorothy, and on the outside, Wavell Avenue is closing in too, but it's La Verdad, Wavell Avenue, La Verdad in the Gallant Bloom. Over Wavell Avenue, Dame Dorothy was third, and Room for Me was fourth.
Back-to-back Grade 2 victories for this speedy mare by Yes It's True, La Verdad. 15 for 21 lifetime. She brings that speed, and she loves to strut her stuff.
She really does, and she's shown a little different dimension this year. She still blows away from the gate with that great gate speed, but she kind of rates herself along on the lead, and she held off a really strong late run there. Dame Dorothy, trained by, I know Mitch Levitas' favorite trainer, Todd Pletcher, really came on well at the end.
And Todd Pletcher walked away with that Grade 1 victory in the Vosburg. And what does it say? And we'll talk more about La Verdad in just a second. But for a trainer like Todd Pletcher, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer, over $300 million in career earnings, the first to do it. And Azar's runner-up finish in the Pilgrim was the race that clinched the title for him.
It's remarkable to think about that number. You know, years ago, the leading jockey of the year would be so far ahead of the leading trainer in earnings until Todd Pletcher came along, and he's changed that. A lot of times the leading rider has less earnings in the year than the leading trainer, which is perennially Todd Pletcher.
All right, not a bad effort in defeat from Wavell Avenue, who finished up gamely outside, but La Verdad just too good for those. Yeah. The big question, shipping to Keeneland, going 7/8 in the Filly Mare Sprint.
I think it's an uphill battle for her. I think the 7/8 might show up with a little better quality field. You're going to get more speed, and I think it sets up more for a horse with like cavorting style, a horse that's going to make one run.
2-year-olds in the Pilgrim round out the show. We had 5 stakes. We've run 4. One more coming your way on MSG+. One of the Outriders, one of the Pony Boys here at beautiful Belmont Park. Love the ponies, that they just chill out right in the tunnel, Alibi Alley, in fact, and the fans usually are going up to them throughout the day. Kids getting, giving the horses some peppermints and just saying hi to the ponies.
I think that's something that we need to do in this industry, a better job of doing it, I should say, is getting people up close to horses. I mean, we know it's about wagering and the racing and the betting, but there's something magical about a horse. I think it was best said by Winston Churchill. There's something about the outside of a horse that's good for the inside of a man.
Let's move on to the Pilgrim now. In the meantime, this will wrap up the stakes on the program tonight. Race number 8 on the Saturday card. 2-year-olds with Larry Colmus.
Off in the Pilgrim. Pagan had a good start. Aid Milad's got speed. Next Shares on the outside. And farther out there goes Brass Compass now, up and after the front. And it's going to be Brass Compass and Next Shares to set the pace here. Pagan settles back running in third position, as are fourth. Aid Milad is fifth, and Forever in Love. Highland Sky is 7 lengths off the lead early on, and then Isotherm, Raise the Bar, and Dissident trails the field. The first quarter in 24 1/5 seconds, and Next Shares and Joel Rosario lead the way up the back stretch. 3/4 of a length ahead of Brass Compass running in second. Pagan is third to the inside. Azar follows in fourth. Aid Milad fifth right now, 4 lengths off the lead up the back stretch. Then Forever in Love to the outside. Highland Sky. Isotherm's got 8 lengths to make up just outside of Highland Sky. Raise the Bar and Dissident continues to race at the back. 48 1 for the first half mile. Next Shares on top as the field rounds the far turn. Brass Compass a length and a half behind. Azar picks it up from third. Aid Milad is taken off the rail, goes up with Forever in Love, and they're charging up on the far turn. Isotherm has closed the gap to 4 lengths. Dissidence on the far outside. And then it is Highland Sky. Pagan has dropped back and raised the bar. And they're coming toward the top of the stretch. And it's Next Shares and Brass Compass turning for home in front. Forever in Love, Azar and Eid Milad are all right there. Isotherm had to alter course there. So too did Highland Sky. No place to go for Raise the Bar, who's trying to squeeze on through toward the inside. Got through now. Here's Raise the Bar coming up the rail. Raise the Bar, Azar, Isotherm. These 3 down to the line. Isotherm won it. Azar and Raise the Bar. Highland Sky was 4th.
This was the kind of contentious race on paper where you felt if there was going to be one blanket finish today, it might just be the Pilgrim. And, well, Mick, that's how it played out.
Well, the Pilgrim delivered. What an exciting finish. And the horse by Lonhro, a stallion from Australia, one of the most beautiful horses you'll ever see, just physically as good-looking a horse as I've ever seen. Isotherm, he's 2 for 2 on the grass. He knows how to win those close ones. It looked like the one horse, Raise the Bar, was going to get it as he came through on the inside. Worked out a pretty decent trip. I think having to work so hard to get back into the race because he was so far back kind of muted that run late for him. I think if he could have got a little more position, his pop might have been a little bit more through the wire.
And I like him going forward to the Breeders' Cup.
Agree with
I
you.
wanted one horse out of the Pilgrim that will really explode at Keeneland, it might just be the 3rd-place runner, Raise the Bar, who didn't win the Pilgrim for Javier Castellano, but Javi had a big afternoon, winning 4 on the day. Jose Lascano walked away with a couple of victories, took the Pilgrim, and, of course, the Beldame. George Weaver, by the way, your winning trainer of the Pilgrim. Chad Brown, first ever Joe Hirsch Turf Classic. He leads all trainers. He's got 3 consecutive titles during the fall meet at Belmont Park, and he is 2 in front of trainer Todd Pletcher as Andy Serling stands by with Sunday's play.
Thanks a lot, guys. Well, a lot of stakes action on Sunday's card. Not quite Saturday's action, but some very good races on tap. The Joseph Jimma starts the day off. The Bertram Baumgart in the 3rd race looks like a terrific matchup of some very talented New York breds. But the big one to me is the Miss Grillo. The race they're running is the 8th race on Sunday's card. 1 mile and a 16th on the Widener course. We ran the Pilgrim on the inner course on Sunday's card. And boy, are there a lot of players in here. And some nice horses we saw in Saratoga, as well as some horses coming over from Europe. I'm going to take a shot with the One Time in Motion this race, a maiden with 1 career start under her belt. And the impetus to run maidens this race is if you can win here, you can take a shot in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile or the Juvenile Fillies races coming up at Keeneland in the end of the month. Time in Motion probably should have won her debut, I should say. She didn't get out that sharply and kind of got shuffled out in the early running. Made a big run in the backstretch to reach contention. It was a race that featured a very slow pace. She had some traffic after that. In fact, this is a race that the MIG is quite familiar with. We talked about it afterwards, and he had the same opinion I did. When she finally got to the outside, she was doing some running. Well, Jimmy Toner's a good trainer. He's taking a shot here for a reason with Time in Motion, and the price is going to be right. I'm going to give a shot to a maiden. Time in Motion in a very contentious Miss Grillo as we head back to Richie and Jay.
Stakes galore on the Sunday card, including that Bertram F. Baumgart not to be missed. Same can be said for Jersey Joe. Looks pretty good in that Turf Classic winner's circle. That'll do it for the MIG and myself. Thanks again for joining us.